good evening, District 47. It's a pleasure to meet you here once again for part two. That is correct, part two of our speech contest workshop series. It is my pleasure to welcome you. As the program quality director for our great district, I want to express my gratitude for your commitment to fostering the art of communication and leadership as always. Today, we gather not just to learn more about being a speech judge. Being a speech judge, your role is crucial, and it is crucial to ensure a fair, constructive, and enjoyable experience for all of our contestants. In this workshop, we will cover essential judging criteria. We will provide insights into effective feedback and share best practices that will enhance your ability to evaluate, to judge the contestants objectively. Thank you for your dedication, and together we will make this speech contest season a remarkable experience for everyone involved. I have before you, we have in our presence dignitaries, our District Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Price Polanese. We have our division directors. I see Oris Martin. We have Area Director Glow Knowles, etc., etc. But coming to the virtual lectern is the lady of the evening. She is our dynamic speech contest co-chair, Distinguished Toastmaster Charmaine Hanna, who will do a wonderful job, I can guarantee you, on presenting on speech contest judges. Take it away, Charmaine.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us this evening for our speech contest judges training. Now, I am sure all of you who are in the room, maybe you want to be a judge, maybe you want to be a chief judge. Maybe you are just here because you are planning that contest and you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. So we're going to begin this evening with a general overview of what our agenda will look like. We've already been through our introductions. And again, I am Distinguished Toastmaster Charmaine Hanna, your co-chair for the contest. We are going to look at the purpose of contests, types of judges that we need for the contest, what makes a person a good judge, barriers to objectivity, the ballot forms, timelines and resources, and of course, upcoming training. So if you joined us last week, Thursday, then some of this will not be new to you. It will just be a refresher course. But stay tuned because we may have some questions for you. Next. All right. So why speech contests matter? Why do they matter? One, they develop communication and leadership skills. That's what we do as Toastmasters. They motivate and inspire members. They recognize speaking excellence. And of course, they add fun and engagement to this program. What is Toastmasters if it is not fun? And of course, we know that our contest, we begin at the club level, then we elevate to the area level, and next we would have the division level. And of course, we will look forward in May to the district contest. And we are hoping that some of you judges persons who are here this evening, that you will be willing, if asked, to be judges at our district level. Our contest roles at club levels. Now, this is very, very important. At the club level, of course, you need contest chair, contest master, chief judge, tie-breaking judge, voting judge, 5 judges, 5 of them, unless it's impractical, like we said last week, you have a really small club, you may only need about 3. You make that decision. 2 timers, ballot counters, 1 to 2 sergeant at arms, and of course, for the evaluation contest, you are going to need a test speaker. This evening, we are going to be focusing on 3 of those roles: the chief judge role, the tie-breaking judge role, and of course, those persons, the voting judges. Very, very important. All right. Like I just said, 3 types of judges we need in a speech contest. The chief judge is the bigwig. That's the person who is in charge of the voting process. Then we have the voting judges. Those are the persons who have to be listening very, very carefully. They have to be extremely attentive and make sure that their scores are accurate. And then, of course, we have that tie-breaking judge who is known only to the chief judge. Now, our chief judge, we touched on this last week as well, so we're going to race through this kind of fast. The responsibilities of our chief judge are to 1, ensure the contest follows official rules. 2, the chief judge is the person required to recruit and train his or her judges for the contest. The chief judge also oversees the tally of the votes. Make sure that what the ballot counters is saying is accurate. He resolves any protests that there may be. Disqualifies contestants for eligibility. So when you hand in those forms, your eligibility forms, once the chief judge checks that and he sees that you are not eligible, then the contestant will be disqualified. The chief judge also verifies the judge's eligibility as well. So not only the contestants have to be eligible, the judges must also be eligible. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So the voting judge, you're responsible for selecting the best speech based on the required judging. Judges, you are not selecting a person because you are familiar with that person or you have heard that person speak so many times and so you know the quality of that speaker. No, you are judging the speech that you hear that particular night during the contest. No other speech comes into play. You are to be anonymous. You don't tell people that you are a judge in this contest. No, you have to remain anonymous. And then, of course, you must be eligible to participate, not be eligible. That should be a not. Be eligible to participate in a contest. So if you're a judge, then you should not be a contestant in any competition. All right. The tie-breaking judge is top secret. Nobody other than the chief judge knows who the tie-breaking judge is. The tie-breaking judge will judge the contest in the same manner as a voting judge. It will not be used unless there is a tie in the scoring of the first, second, or third place winner. Now, here's what's different with the tie-breaking judge. You have to be extremely vigilant because you too must score. You must score every single contest and rank them accordingly. All the contestants who are in the competition, not just, you're not putting on your sheet just your top 3. No, you have to give all of the rankings. At this time now, I'm going to yield to our PQD so that he could ensure that you who are looking to be judges, we want you to focus on how are you going to be eligible.
I'll take that one. So
Thank you.
eligibility of the judges. First, they must be a current member of a club. The club must be in good standing. And we covered that last week, and we covered that this week again. And good standing means the club have to have at least 8 members. That's in good standing. Experience. Preferably, you want an experienced Toastmaster who have seen a contest before or have held a club officer role, somebody who have the confidence to do the job. So that's the kind of person that you want in that position. But at the club level, there is no experience really required. There is no previous experience really required. But the suggestion is you want to look for somebody that have at least organized or been participating or know what the contest look like, because that's very important. Now, when you go to area, division, or district level, then you must have 6 months of membership and have served as a club officer for 6 months and completed level 1 and 2 of any path. So that's the general eligibility right there. Now, what the obstacles to being a judge, what you cannot do. I will start with number 2 first. Number 1 will need a little bit more explanation. Number 2 is no conflict of interest. You must be impartial to maintain the integrity of the contest. So that part is very important. From the get-go, you have to be able to resolve that within you, that you have to be impartial. Now, let's go to the big one. You cannot compete in the same contest type at any level of which that you will be competing within any district. Now, that's something we have dealt with, especially with Zoom and Toastmasters, because you can be a member of different clubs and different districts. So let's say you are competing in table topics. This school is telling you in any district, you cannot be a judge, a chief judge, or a tie-breaking judge for table topics. Now, if it's international, sure. If it's evaluation, no problem. But you cannot be competing in the same type of contest that you will be competing in. So you cannot be a judge of other table topics contestant in any district, that is, any district. So don't go on Zoom, go to another district and compete, because a lot of time, I know in the past people have done that. So that's something that is very crucial, very important, and that will disqualify you, basically. So, all right, turning it back to Charmaine.
All right. So we are here. The judges must maintain eligibility at all levels, no matter whether it's club, area, division, or district, all levels. You must maintain eligibility. Now, let's look at judge versus evaluator. And here is where our PQD is going to pick up for us and tell us what's the difference between a judge in a contest and an evaluator at a meeting.
Thank you for that, Charmaine. So as it says here in the diagram in front of you, we often think that evaluating a speech and being a judge of a speech are one and the same, but here it clearly details the differences. As a judge, you're not judging a speech based on how you feel it should go, but you are basing it on a set of criteria that you will see later on in the presentation. Example, you're judging the contestant's content, you're judging his or her delivery, etc. As a judge, you work independently. It's not like you're in a club meeting and the general evaluator says, we have evaluator Millie or evaluator Gary. No, you are to remain as anonymous as possible and work independently. That means when it comes to scoring, Don't ask the person on the side of you, hey, what you think about Joe? What, 20 points, 15 points? No, no. You are working independently. As a judge, you do not provide verbal feedback. That's during the contest and after the contest, because again, you are anonymous. Whereas in the evaluator in the speech contest, you can speak for 2 to 3 minutes. You can give your feedback for 2 to 3 minutes. And this is your opportunity to during those 2 to 3 minutes where you focus on the strengths and the areas of improvement for a speaker that's in publicly. But as a judge, you are anonymous. You are scoring based on your discretion, and you are scoring them based on a set of criteria that you will see later on in the judge's ballot. Back to you, Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. Now, as a judge, you have an obligation to the contestants who are participating in your contest, to Toastmasters International, to the audience who is watching that contest, and of course, you would have an obligation to yourself. Hi, Gary. Thank you. All right, so let's just make sure that we know that we have some serious obligations when we take on this responsibility of being a judge. We're not only looking at who our favorite is in the contest, but who is the actual winner, the person who deserves to win in a particular contest. All right. Next. All right. And of course, we know the judge's decisions are confidential. Please, please, please do not share your judging with anyone other than your ballot counter. You put your information on your ballot, you submit that to your ballot counter. That's it. No further discussion about it unless the chief judge wishes to have that conversation. If there's something that they need to discuss, maybe you didn't remember to sign your ballot form, then there's a conversation, but you don't go and have a conversation with your neighbor and say, this is who I voted for and this is who I think will be the winner. Okay? Are you a good judge? When we talk about being a good judge must be accurate. Good judge must be fair, trustworthy. Remember, integrity is one of our core values. Must be trustworthy and, of course, knowledgeable. You must be knowledgeable about the contest in which you are judging. You must know what are you looking for in that particular contest. What are you focusing on? You cannot just give a out of the clear blue sky score. No, you have to pay attention to particular parts of the judging sheet, and we're going to have a look at that. All right. So DTM Price, we're back to you on these barriers of objectivity. We know that this could be a sore point for some people, so we want to make sure that all of our judges are objective. So here we go, DTM Price.
Right, Charmaine, we're gonna flip it. We're gonna flip it one more time. So barriers to objectivity. As remember, as we said, as a judge, you are to be as objective and fair as possible. When we look at speaker's position, if he is speaker 1, that doesn't mean he should have an advantage over speaker 2, 3, 4, etc. Champion for the underdog. You may be a judge who feels as if that this person, even though, how to put this person is the underdog in the contest, you might feel a bit of pity for this individual. But that shouldn't mean that you should just put him or her in first place just because. When we look at give someone a chance, you may see a contestant who has been in the speech contest 3, 4, 5 years consecutively and never won. And you may be like, oh man, I feel so sorry for him. Let me give him a boost. He deserves it. He is so consistent. That is a barrier to objectivity. When we look at personal preferences, if you know that the person is, and we're going to keep it in the sports theme because that is the theme for this year. If the person is a Miami Dolphins fan and you're a Patriots fan, no.
Why?
But
Why?
yes, Kendrick, leave that personal preference to the side. You are an impartial judge in Toastmasters, not football. That's on Sunday. And second time around, again, is similar to give someone a chance. If someone came up close last year and you feel as if that person should have won, do not give him or her that boost just because. As a judge, we cannot stress this enough. You are to be impartial and you are to score exactly to what the criteria requires. And of course, who do you deem as the best contestant? Charmaine?
Awesome, awesome. So we're going to be objective in our judging. All right. Disqualifications. We are going to Dairy Queen. And here, a contestant could only be disqualified for the following reasons. One, the contestant, if they're not a paid member of a club in good standing. So before you submit that person's name to say that they are your club's contestant, make sure that they are a paid member of your club. And that you also have to make sure that your club is in good standing. As we said previously, your club must have at least 8 paid members to be in good standing. And for the international speech contestants, they must have completed at least 2 levels in Pathways or is a distinguished Toastmaster. That's only for the international speech contestants. Then, of course, it's your job to review. Toastmaster, thank you. It's your job to review the speech contest rule book. You are a contestant, you want to know what you are being judged on. You want to know what you can and you cannot do. So make sure you are familiar with the speech contest rule book. Maintain eligibility at all levels. Don't want to fall out of sorts. And of course, the contest chair can disqualify a contestant on the basis of eligibility. The next thing you can be disqualified for is timing. We know in Toastmasters, timing is very, very important. You may hear some DTM say that means don't time me. No, that's not so. We are timed, and sometimes we have a tendency to go over time. And if we do that, we will be penalized. We will be disqualified because your speech must conform to the timing guidelines outlined in the speech rule book. So if it says 3 minutes, you stick to 3 minutes. Don't go beyond because you will be disqualified. All right, timing. Like I said, it's the sole responsibility of the timers. It's not, go back one for me, please. Okay, it's not the responsibility of the judges to worry about timing. That's the timer's responsibility. Judges are not permitted to time or consider timing of speeches when you are judging. You just judge what you hear, the presentation that is in front of you. Don't worry about the person's time. The contest chair or the contest master announces if timing disqualifications occurred. Only the contest master, that information will be given to him or her by the chief judge and the timers. Well, the timers will give it to the chief judge. The chief judge will then give that information to the contest master. And of course, the contestants who are disqualified are to remain anonymous. So that means you will not hear in the announcement that, oh, Toastmaster Hannah was disqualified for going over by 1 minute. You should never hear that in a contest. The person who is disqualified remains anonymous. All right, originality. Wow. Of course, you want to be as original as possible, but sometimes we have to use some resources to ensure that we have an excellent speech. We are evaluating or in table topics. Well, of course, you have a little more leeway there, but you don't want to use information from somebody else's speech that you would have heard previously, or not necessarily in the contest, but you don't want to use other people's material. So you have to be, the speaker has to be original. Next. All right. So what makes a speech substantially original? First, no more than 25% of the speech may be devoted to quoting, paraphrasing, or referencing another person's content. No more than 25%. Be careful with that. When you're taking things from places, make sure you not your whole speech. It's going to be yours from what you got offline or what you found in a book, or quote, 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 quote. All right? Properly cite your resources. When you are using people's materials, don't plagiarize. Don't plagiarize. You can paraphrase, of course, but don't plagiarize. Don't use the words exactly as they are. All right, the originality protest. Protest to the chief judge or the contest chair. They're the only two persons you are to protest to. The chief judge or the contest chair. That's a contestant. Protests are limited to eligibility, originality, and reference to another contestant or another contestant's speech, and must only be lodged by voting judges and or contestants. That's very important. If you are just an audience member, you cannot step up and say you have a protest. No, you do not have that right. So you, as if you're going to be a judge, you can protest. Judges can protest and the contestants themselves may protest, no one else. Allow the contestant to respond. All right. So you may say that the contestant used 50% of your speech. You're another contestant. We have to allow, as judges, we have to allow the contestant to speak to it. So you don't just disqualify the contestant. And the last thing, a majority of the voting judges must concur in the decision to disqualify. A majority of the voting judges. So if you have 5 judges, 3 of them must concur with the decision to qualify, not just 1 or 2. Next. All right. So this is what the judge's guide and ballot looks like. And some of you may be very familiar with this. If you aren't, then of course we will tell you where you can go to find this resource so that you can have a closer look at it. But this form is very, very important. As you can see, it is broken down into 3 specific areas. And there are points allotted for each area. You have to be very careful as you score to ensure that you know exactly what points you want to give that particular speaker. All right, so we're going to look more at this ballot form. Okay, so the judge's guide, there are different ways to use the judge's guide. You can use the suggested points, use other point values, plus or minus, or take notes. Now you will find that information there in the handout that you could delve into deeper on your own to decide how you want to score. All right. And then, of course, we have the categories. These categories, like I said, they're split into 3 categories. These are very, very important. Content, delivery, and language. They are the 3 main categories you're going to be scoring on, but they too are broken into segments. So you have to pay attention to those and note the percentage that is given in each category. Next slide. All right, so here we go. The score to 1, you have 4 steps. 1, score the contestants on, like we said, in these 3 categories. Content is 50%. 50%. Delivery is only 30%. And of course, your language is 20%. So note that the content there is very, very important. Rank the contestant. Now, this is the important part. You see that part on the contest ballot there that it's in red over on the screen? Once you would have tallied all your scores, then you are to look at your top 3%. If you have 6 competitors, then you look at your top 3 and you rank them according to how they scored. So you would put the person who got the highest. If they got 89, the top score was 89, whoever that was, John Brown, you would put his name on line 1 where it says first place. The next person got 82. You put their name on line 2 for second place. And then if the next person got 80, you would then put his or her name on the 3rd place line. Then you must print your name and sign the ballot. Print and sign. Very, very important. And you would notice you have 2 lines there for that. If that ballot is not signed, it is non-valid. So ensure that before you turn that into the ballot counter, that you print your name and you sign it. Tear off the bottom part. The ballot counter does not need your tally at the top. That top part of the ballot sheet does not go to the ballot counter. Only the bottom part that has your 3 persons listed. That is what you submit to the ballot counter. All right. And so here we see content. Like I said to you earlier, it is broken down into 3 areas: speech development, effectiveness, speech value, for a total of 50. So if you feel that that person did excellently, then you would score them 15, 10, 25, but you would put that over under that person's name where it says number one. If you think number one, speech development, the structure, the organization, the support of the material was excellent, you would give that person 15 points. But if you think that there's no, it was good, but it wasn't that great, well, then I may want to give them just a 7. And I'll put 7 under number one in that first category. The effectiveness, did they identify a clear purpose, achievement of the purpose, and relevance? Was it relevant? No, it wasn't. I may feel, okay, no, they fail at that. So I may just give them a 3. The speech value, the ideas, the logic, the original thought. So. He said they're okay. They might have been okay, but I'm not too sure about that. So I may just give them a high end on that and give them an 8. All right. So you have to look very carefully, look at the span for the ratings, and that's what you put in there. Okay. That's for content. Next, we have delivery. Now we know some of us, we don't hear what the person's saying, but we loved how they said it. And so we would automatically score them high. Because they were dramatic, because they used props, because they caught our attention. And oh, yes, that was beautiful. They liked what they heard. Okay. So I would say you got scored high. You get scored high. But remember that the whole speech is not based on delivery. So that may be their high point. Their delivery may be the high point. That's excellent. Voice, flexibility, and volume. They have to know when to go up. Vocal variety, very important. Some people may give you a monotone speech, but their content was excellent. So if it's monotone, then maybe 5 points. All right. And then, of course, you also have manner, the directness, assurance, and enthusiasm in which they delivered that speech. So if they were monotone, then obviously they didn't have too much enthusiasm. So they would probably remain in that same thing. But you are the judge of that. You make that decision. So be careful for every person you judge individually. And again, maybe remind you that you're not basing them on what they did previously or how well they performed before. You might have seen them before. No, you're judging them on how they are performing that particular night. And of course, the last area is your language. Now, was your language appropriate to the speech purpose and the audience? You know, some of us, we speak and we use vocabulary that is way above the heads of the audience to whom we are speaking, and we don't understand. And if you do that, then your language is not appropriate because you threw us off. So you need to speak. And yes, some of us are linguists. We love to use those huge words in our vocabulary, and that's beautiful, but we have to know how to use them properly. Now, if the speaker executed the use of his words and it was appropriate for his speech purpose, then hey, give them that 10 points or at least 9, all right? And then correctness. We are listening for grammatical errors, pronunciation of words, and of course, word selection, or what we call word choice. Very, very important. Language, even though it's only 20%, it could make or break a speaker. So you would grade accordingly. All right. So we have a little quiz. And right now, I think we can do this quiz. We had 20 minutes and we are almost done. So you can type in the chat real quickly. There are only a few questions. So type in the chat your responses to these questions. So you have the first one. What are 4 reasons for which a contestant may be disqualified. You can type all four, or you can just type one if you choose. Okay, I see overtime. Yes, you are right. Okay, everyone's getting the overtime. Originality, yes. The club is not in good standing. Awesome. They're not paid. Plagiarism, yes. Awesome. Absolutely. Yes, you all were listening. Using quotes for more than 25% of the speech. Awesome. You're on a roll. Okay. DTM Munnings, I think we could go to question 2. They got an A on that quiz right there. What happens if a judge leaves the space for the third place winner's name empty on their ballot? What do you think would happen if they leave it empty on their ballot? What might we have to do? Or the chief judge may have to do? Oh. In the chat, or you could open your mic and okay, ask them. Okay, I'm seeing the ballot is invalid until corrected. Excellent. Okay, the chief judge, no. Well, call in the supporting judge. Do not. Okay, the chief judge will ask the judge to correct the ballot. And ask, we'll be getting some excellent answers. Call upon the tiebreaker judge, it's invalid. A lot of people are saying it's invalid. DTM Munnings, which one would you go with? The invalid, the chief judge will make the decision to ask them to correct, or we call in a tiebreaker. We have lots of
good answers, yeah.
lots of good answers. All right. So what happens if the judge only prints a name on the ballot but does not sign it? If it's done like that, the name is printed on the ballot, but the judge didn't sign. What do we do? Okay, it's invalid. And so what might happen? We can't accept it like that. We can't accept that judge's scores. You're right, it's invalid. So good, then we'll ask the judge to sign it. The chief judge will ask the judge to sign the ballot so that it can be valid. Very good. Thank you. Awesome. So what would you do in this particular scenario? What would you do? What would you do if a member approaches a contest official and asks to see the points awarded to the contestants? What would you do if a member approaches a contest official and asks to see the points awarded to the contestants? Do not show it or discuss. No, judges. Ignore the request. Tell him to take a walk. Not allowed. Out of order. Excellent. Refuse. Excellent. That's absolutely correct. No one, like I said earlier, no one in the audience has the right to question anyone or even protest. They don't have that right. And no, you can't ask to see you can't. That's just so wrong on many levels. Okay, good. I would give it a discuss with no one. Absolutely. Good. What if the contest results are announced and the contest meeting is adjourned? After this, an individual from the audience complains that judging was unfair. What would you do? I see that good, Toastmaster Brian. Yes, the judge's decision is final. And then another thing in there, we see that word, the meeting is adjourned. So if you came after the meeting has been adjourned, then we're sorry, we cannot, and we can't entertain you anyhow because you are in the audience. You are not a contestant, neither are you a judge. All right, excellent, excellent. You all were really paying attention. So here are just a few bonus tips as we are now going through our club contest. One, print your ballot a couple of days before the contest. Make sure you have them on hand. Two, practice judging at your home club. During the home club, make sure those persons who want to be judged at the area or division, make sure they practice in the home club first and then venture out. Review the 2024-25 contest rule book. And of course, if you see that diamond in the rule book, then you know that that is an updated bit of information. 4, do watch the online Toastmasters tutorial videos on judging because they are absolutely excellent. All right. And then, of course, remember that if you have a tie in your ballot results, you must break your own tie. That's you as a judge. When you are tallying up your scores, if you have a tie on your ballot sheet, on your sheet, you must break your tie and decide which one of the two persons is the better. And then you would add that person on your ballot sheet. All right. So that job is yours, that you don't put two names on one line to say that, okay, they were tied, or you don't just put one name and put two names on line 2 because they were tied for second place and then put another name for third. No, you have to break the tie and then put the scores accordingly. All right, so those are just a few tips for you. And now we will look at options for smaller clubs running a contest. If you need help, don't hesitate to ask for it. All right, ask for help from other clubs. You have a small club, you have 3 or 4 contestants, but you only have like 10 members. So you're gonna need some help to fill some roles. Go out there and ask some other clubs or combine your club with somebody else and say, well, okay, we'll judge for you, you judge for us. Do a swap, and that way it'll help you out. Ask your area director for support. Reach out for assistance in filling the roles. The area director knows all the 4 or 5 clubs within the area. They have access, easy access to these people. So don't be afraid to ask them for assistance. And then, of course, advance without a contest. Now, of course, with the smaller clubs, you may find, okay, we don't need to have a full contest because we only have one person who is interested in doing either of the contests. So what we will do is we will just submit a name from our club, 1 for evaluation, 1 for table topics, 1 for international speech, without having a club contest. But you still need to ensure that your member is ready to compete. So you have to help them during club meetings, allow them to practice, so that they will be an excellent competitor in the area contest. All right. And where you're going to find the contest resources that you can use to assist you, right at toastmastersd47.org resources/contests. That's where you can find all the information we just presented. All of that is right there. You can find the speech contest rule book, the scripts for online and in-person contests, the briefing documents. Was chief judges, you have to brief your judges. So your documents are right there online, and then Excel planning schedule. You will find all of those things that will assist you for your contest. And of course, you have some additional resources on toastmasters.org as well, where you could go toastmasters.org/speech contest kits. Look right there, and you can just download everything, print them off. So I don't know if you're like me, but I love hard copy. I don't like digital. I prefer to hold my copies in my hand and be able to read through thoroughly. So make sure you download these kits. They are very, very helpful. And now, contest dates, please. VPEs in particular, pay attention to these dates, because usually you are the one, along with your contest chair, who will be responsible for these contests. So at the club level, we are going through that right now. If you're gonna have a club contest, you could have started already, and we're gonna go through to January 14th, 2025. As of the 15th now, January 15th to March 14th, we will be having our area contest. So once you have your club contest, make sure that your competitors are ready for January 15th. That's early in the year. And some areas may have theirs before the end of January. So make sure that your competitors are ready to jump in for the area contest. Then, of course, March 15th to April 15th, you notice each of these, well, except for the area, we get a little bit more than a month. And our clubs, we have more than a month. But the division, we only have 1 month to get our contest completed, March 15th to April 15th. And then, of course, the big contest, the district contest, will be held in May 2025. So make sure that you are ready to attend the district contest in May in Florida 2025 to support your club members, your area members, your division members. We'll all be looking forward to that. So, upcoming training, we have another speech contest training for area and division directors. So if any area and division directors are in the room, please make note of this date, Saturday, the 12th. No, the way of this, that's December, sorry, the 7th of December, 2024. The 7th of December, 2024, area and division directors. So if they aren't in the room and you know of one, please ensure that they get that date. Well, of course, you know, our PQD will ensure that that flyer is out and they will be well informed of that date. Very important.
Before we close, I just need to make a couple of clarifications. Distinguished Toastmaster Evelyn Benson, I've noticed that we only mentioned the eligibility for pathways, but there is eligibility that comes from competent communicator as well. So if you're in the old system, it's 6 speech projects from the CC manual. And you had to be a member before the rollout of pathways in our region, which I think was like 2015 or so. So you have to have 6 CC manual speeches to be eligible. Another thing I want to put in there, especially in the clubs, you may have some issues with when they say judges are anonymous. The rule also said when practical. And one way to resolve that, and one of my clubs, for example, especially in-person clubs, you're going to have that issue, is that we distribute ballot to everyone. Everyone that's present get a ballot, and then the ballot counters pick up the ballots at the end. And then, of course, you know the names of the people who are the judges, then you can fit those out. Because in a club, it's almost impossible to do it, especially if you have somebody coming from the outside and everybody's going to know who the judges are. It's only when practical. And if you go to the area and division contest, the same thing will apply. Just give ballots to as many people as you can to make sure that people cannot pinpoint exactly who they are. When we are talking about judging, it's not the same as evaluation. Let me give an example that I was given a long time ago that's very practical. Let's say you have a speaker and that speaker have a lot of conch words in their speech. What do? If that speaker is the best speaker of the day that gives the best speech, guess what? They can actually get the maximum point because you're not judging them on conch words. You're not judging them on that. So make sure that your evaluation hat is off and your judging hat is on. And also, if you only have one contestant, you can have a contest. You can have a contest for one contestant. At the club level, it's a little bit stressful because you have to have all those people, you have to have judges, chief judge, and the whole deployment of people to have the contest. But realize that somebody who's doing a speech can be disqualified for so many things. So even if you're the only contestant, that doesn't mean that you're going to win it because you might be disqualified or you might go over time. So this is my little tidbit of clarifications, and I'll let it open for the Q&A.